Welcome to day 43 of raising funds for world domination. So I'll skip the standard intro and do as I have been doing regularly and just skip to the work on the block mining simulation game. So I'll just close that to get that out of the way. You can read it if you are not up to speed. So, Orthoplex 64 says hi. How's it going? Killer Bean says howdy. Yoshikage. Yoshikage. I think that's. I think I'm getting closer. Yoshikage. I think that was it. Yoshikage Kira. It says Discord gang. Oh yeah, I forgot you guys have you get notifications on the Discord. Okay. So where I left off last night, it's better? Excellent. Yeah, so last night, maybe I'll just change back to the kind of debug view. So last night, I implemented an efficiency improvement so that when you send a lot of resize up events, so that happens whenever you want to basically change the window size and drag it. It sends like a stream of lots of window resize events. So for example, if I take this and drag it, it's sending tons and tons of resize events. So last night I was testing this, and I found a few cases where when I'd stop it, every frame would reprint except for the map. And I was messing around with that. And after the stream, I thought about it, and it's easier to use the debug tools on my other machine. So I took a look at what was the root cause of that, and so I was able to root cause the issue with that. And it was actually an issue. It was an issue I introduced with that new feature. So the whole point of that feature, so if I do, for example, if I do this, that's sending 100 resize events that queue up. And what's going to happen is, as it processes that, if the render method of this frame takes a long time, it'll queue up a bunch of basically outdated events that say resize yourself, and it's going to try to re-render the frame with outdated parameters, and then all those are going to get basically ignored and rejected because they're all rendering of the frame for the wrong size. So I made it so that frame sends a message back if there's a rejected byte and says, here's the actual parameters. But I have actually a line of code. I have to do some special logic when for the map. So when the map, I consolidated a couple different events. Where's my... It's the unrender frame. Unrender frame. So what it was doing was keeping track of the previous frame dimensions. But then what was happening was, what can happen is, when you actually try to write, so whenever this, I guess it was probably in this render method. So technically, if I put that up there, that would have fixed it. But I actually did it in a slightly different way. So I just make a copy of it, of the current frame dimensions here. So in order to actually make this condition true, there actually has to be a difference. And because halfway through here, it was getting the new dimensions. The next time it got an event, it didn't actually see that it needed to update the screen. So that's why it wasn't working. If you were following from last night, it's quite suspenseful, I know. All right, so that I think at this point, I think the frame resizing is pretty robust. One of the next things I want to do is the rendering is currently super slow because I have a whole bunch of redundancy, and I've got some funky stuff going on with the map area. It's like flashing on the help menu. So I'm thinking I need to think about a way. I'm going to start using like a map, a change mask, a separate change mask method for for sending the messages and updating what's actually printed on the screen. And that will also let me kind of offload some of that difference work to the individual threads. Galactic Past says, hello, Robert. How's it going? So yeah, I started that the other night. And there's a few things here that are kind of things I should get rid of. If the world were ending in a week, what would you do? That's a good question. I guess I'm not really in much of a position to do much else other than the regularly scheduled stuff. I would hope that it's not ending in a week. There's a lot of crazy stuff in the news. I kind of wonder if some of the political distraction is not a distraction from some of the other. There's, I think, a ramp up in the military stuff that's going on between Russia and Ukraine. So we'll see how that goes. That could satisfy the criteria you're describing there. But hopefully it'll just be like always, and then nothing will change and nothing will ever happen. Every other country starting to use their military? Yeah, I think I don't know, it does seem like we've just been kind of normalizing the slow escalation for at least a few years now. But I mean, the countries have a preference to, like, pretend to keep everything on the down low and pretend that it's not a big deal. So hopefully they'll continue to try to do that. I guess presumably, we got lots of defense systems and early warning systems and stuff. I think anyone in mainland North America is pretty relatively safe. They're going to end the world by changing 1 to a 0. Yep, one stray particle. I'll flip a bit somewhere. Monetary collapse. Oh yeah, we have that too. The bond market is, people are predicting the bond market's going to collapse and stuff. But I mean, it could be good, because then if prices come down, then people can buy houses. And also, if you have any savings, then you can buy things, because everything gets cheaper. Adam Lemurs says, what's up? Not too much, just working on optimizing the printing for the block mining simulation game. Trying to think about the best way to approach this subject. Wasn't there a time in history when the economy was good and every other food recipe was a gelatin dish of some sort? Yeah, I guess 1950s to 1980, I think, was that was the golden era. Tokisaki says, hey, how's it going? Since you were a professor at Conestoga, which Ontario colleges would you recommend to get the best knowledge for computer science? I don't know much about any of the other ones, but honestly, I'm not really sure I would recommend any of them. I would say if you do attend any of them, you'd want to make sure you do a lot of research on what their co-op program is like, and what are your chances of getting a job after graduating from them. I went to the University of Waterloo, and they have like a big part of the program there is co-op, and that they have a building specifically dedicated for interviews. But at Conestoga, I don't really know, for the computer science program, I'm not really even sure what. There was some kind of co-op program, but I heard a lot about it being inadequate. If the world is ending, there's nothing we can do. Yeah, we could just grind on, I guess. Bro, the resources on the internet have never been better. Just start trying stuff. I'm not sure what you're referring to by that. Need to get a degree to pass AI screen. I guess for degree, I think there's college, university. There's a few things that gets you. One is the knowledge, and then the other is just the going. If there's a cohort system, getting to know some people and getting to bootstrap your network and stuff, that can be a really big deal. Even just there's I was on LinkedIn today, and there's random people that I'm connected with who I went to school with and stuff. And if I was super desperate and ready to be homeless, those are people I could ping those people and be like, yo, I haven't talked to you in years, but can you get me a job somewhere or something? And if you just don't have that, if you're a random person, then you're totally in the dark. And that's one of the things that just going somewhere with other people that you get to know, that in itself, you can't get that from studying or watching YouTube videos. I want to be a programmer, but I don't know anything yet. Well, you're in the right place if you keep watching things like this and watching YouTube videos on programming, and eventually you'll learn about it. You start making some of those gelatin dishes from the 60s. Yeah, maybe the good times are coming back. I'm totally in the dark. Yeah, I would say anyone, the question comes up of college, university a lot. And I would say anyone considering that, just read lots of Reddit posts, and hopefully they're not, because there's lots of astroturfing and fake stuff on Reddit, but try to find anecdotal, believable reports of what the job prospects are for a specific degree at a specific university or college, and if they have a co-op program or internship program or anything, or because there's some places that have an internship program, and the internship program is okay, go find your internship, and they don't do anything to help you. So it's it's like if I just told you guys in the chat to be hey everyone, pay me $5,000 to do an internship, and then you pay me $5,000. Okay, I hereby grant you the ability to apply for internships, and then you have to go out and go get one yourself. There you go. I believe in you. Thanks for the $5,000. Gotta start writing stuff. For coding, I mean. I'm writing a game engine, so I'm hoping that will at least make me a desirable candidate. yeah, I can may help you get admitted. Game engineers unite. Speaking of game engines, not gonna lie, that's the worst thing to write. Making money is boring. Anything else interesting or passion related makes people take advantage of you. Not sure I understand that comment. You mean not writing a game engine is the worst thing to write? Making money is boring. Anything interesting or passion related makes people take advantage of you. Yeah, I mean, it depends what your goals are. If it's just like a small toy game engine, it's like a nice portfolio project. That could help you get your foot in the door. I mean, for the vast majority of people, it's not going to lead to anything unless you're like super hardcore about it and it's like world-class software. Toki Saka says, bye-bye. See you later. Take advantage then, at least they get paid. Not saying the skills you learn are bad, but if that's the goal, it's good to learn from. Yeah, I think you have to be successful, you have to be clear about your objective. So if you don't have any job experience, then writing some small GitHub projects or something, like if something you're investing like, less than 100 hours into, maybe, but I would not spend like years writing some custom game engine to hopefully, get hired by your dream company. I wonder if Elvis Presley has a presence in the Tuk Tuk song library. That's I don't have the answer to that question. That's kind of random, I guess. You should do a coding competition. I should, or I don't have time to do that. I got other stuff to do. I got worlds to dominate. I'll send you a clip of my game engine so far. You can tell me what you think. Sure, I guess. There's we have the Discord now. Worlds plural. Yep. You can't just stop at one. I did upload a small showcase in the Discord. If anyone is curious. Yeah, I'll take a look after the first world. The rest should be somewhat easier. Yeah, the first one is always the hardest. Are there multiple people working on game engines? Yeah, I guess there's at least 2 here. I think it's kind of a classic thing to work on. People start working on a game, and then they get sucked into the game engine writing part. game engine coding competition. It's a lot of work to do correctly. We've got to figure out criteria and one of us. Then we can have a game engine from scratch showdown. Or we team up and compete with Unreal. That's a lot of work. I have to work on my time budget. Game engine in your favorite language. Because I'm using Vulkan, which is for a post API, the engine lines of code is ballooned to 17K. That's a decent sized project. Making a game engine too. Maybe I should create a dedicated Discord channel. Yeah, that's one of the things I wouldn't mind more discussion about, like game development or something. I guess the main thing that kind of attracts me to the game engine idea is just because it's a substrate for like just pure like like if everything was about sat solvers or something, it's very sterile. Like it's very difficult to get anyone other than like super mathematically obsessed people interested in that. Whereas a game, if there's like some lore around the game or like fantasy stuff, or it is possible for someone who knows absolutely nothing about software development to get really interested in a game. Whereas for like a sat solver or just like pure mathematical optimization, it's really difficult to get a fan base of like non-technical people for that. So I think it's the possibility to have some more interdisciplinary people who are interested in like narrative creation and stuff. Looks like one of the jobs that is so niche it'll be unaffected by AI hype. Yeah, I think there's certain aspects of like developing a game, like the art creation. I think that may get kind of wiped out a bit. But on the other hand, the more difficult like game engine design will probably still stick around, and then game engine developers will become more powerful because then you can use AI to build in all the simple the surface level textures and stuff. It's the last thing I did before I shelved my game around Christmas. Got too busy at work. Want to resume dev sometime this fall. If we have that many game engine developers in here. GTA 6 will save us. Actually, I don't even... GTA, that's the one with the meme. People always say we got X before GTA 6. Has GTA 6 released? I don't even know. I don't... actually, I haven't even... I remember when I was in school, I always thought like, man, once I'm done school, I'm going to take a break and like buy Grand Theft Auto and just play that. And then I never did. So I've never played any of the Grand Theft Auto series. Late until 2026. Okay. I know because they're stock dumped. That'll suck if the world collapses and it doesn't release. Robert lives under a rock. Yep. And I want to keep it that way. You can't find the time to write a terminal block binding simulation game if you're always playing, Grand Theft Auto and stuff. Somebody's got to take the hit and do the hard work. And all these animes. I don't have time to watch all these animes. Red Dead 2 engine is so impressive. They went the extra mile for realism. You know what? I pretty much don't even keep up with the new engines anymore. I remember like back when I was going to university and then seeing all the updates about like Unreal. I think it was Unreal Engine and stuff, and thinking, wow, the technology of the future is amazing. When I graduate, I'm going to play all these games, and then I never did. We got global nuclear winter before GTA 6. I don't know. I don't know if we got that yet. Presumably, we have a lot of missile defense systems and stuff. I think the attack on Russia, that took out a lot of their strategic bombers, so they may not even it was like a third of them or something, so that might have set them back quite a bit. I don't know, maybe it even makes an bigger escalation less likely. The first game I played in my life was GTA Vice City. GTA has a special place in my heart. I think my first game was Donkey Kong. It was kind of revolutionary because they had 3D pre-rendered sprites. That was a very visually impressive game for the console. The YouTube heart emoji obscures the latest comment. Yeah, it used to do that on the live stream UI, and I couldn't read it. Maybe it's only on the client UI. Jack Lupino says, "Hello everyone. How's it going?" All right, that compiles. Now this should make it even more slow than it already was, but it should this should hopefully put me one step closer toward my refactoring goals. The stream title reminds me of the song Domination by Pantera. I know that song. That's a good song. I think I remember back when I was a teenager and I tried learning to play guitar. That was one of the songs I tried to learn. I was not very good at it. Vim Master Race. Yes, indeed. I suggest changing color scheme to solarized. No, I'm not a fan of that. So what materials will be mining at Axel Heiberg? Good question. I guess we'll have to do some surveys first. See what's there. What is the most economically viable thing? Okay, that doesn't break everything. That's good. Mining will be mining Bitcoin. There won't be any need for active cooling. That's a good point. That would be an ideal place to mine Bitcoin. Let's split this up. YouTube needs to add ability to save subscribe channels and folders. Honestly, I don't really even think I use the subscription feature much. I'm subscribed to some channels, but I don't really pay much attention to them. All right, this is working. You know, man, I had like 10 exams, finals last week. Do you think that's reasonable? 10 finals. Do you have 10 courses? I guess if you have 10 courses, then that's reasonable, but that would have to imply you have a normal course was like 5 or 6 courses. 10 courses. Wow. Huh. That's like a normal part of your program? I was in software engineering, and my it was a very aggressive program. The course load was quite difficult, and we had between 5 and 6 courses per term. I think one of my terms it was 6 courses, was like the normal thing, and I had done a it was a biology elective. I had to do like a few like random electives, and in the course thing they said like you could do the way it was written. They specified it out as like you can do one of these courses and these courses and this course, but they didn't explicitly specify that you had to do one course and this other course code. So it was biology 130, and the way it was written was to get credit you had to do biology 130 and 130L, which is a lab, and I didn't know that, so I just enrolled in biology 130. I thought 130L was some other thing, and I never really thought much about it because for every single thing we'd ever been enrolled into, we would always immediately automatically get enrolled into a lab. Like if we enrolled in a course, of course you would. Why would you do a course if you didn't get enrolled in a lab? So what happened was I did the course, completed it, and then a couple of years later, it was finally the intention to graduate, and then they said, oh yeah, you can't graduate with what you have because you took this course and passed it. But also the lab is not offered again until after you graduate. So you have to like do everything and then come back for an entire term. And by the way, because you're an engineer, you have to do a full course load. So you have to do like, pay another $10,000 in tuition and housing and stuff just to do this one lab for a biology course in your software engineering. So that was the whole thing. And it wasn't just because I'm stupid. There were 4 people in my program who had the exact same mistake that they made. So anyway, the result was I had to take another biology elective on a term I was not thinking about it and not expecting to. So I had 7 courses that term. That was pretty brutal. And then I had another guy who he got behind. He had actually dropped out of the software engineering program, and then he ended up. He was one of the very few people who came back into the software engineering program, and he said he did 9 courses at once, which was absolutely insane for my program. The worst thing is that here the courses for each semester are fixed and chosen by the university. You don't have a choice. Huh. Yeah, 10 courses. I would hope that they would have to be like a bit, depending on how ambitious a course is. Like I've had, there's one course like the CS452 or like the graphics or compilers. Like if you want, you could spend 40 hours a week working on one course for some of those. So hopefully some of those courses are a bit easier. Yeah, hopefully you're glad to be done your 10 exams and finals. Yeah, that's the point where I find like beyond maybe like 5 or something, it starts to get difficult to even mentally maintain awareness of deadlines. In person, who would like to go deep on the thing I study, like that is impossible. Yeah, I think for 10 courses, they would have to be, some of them would have to be maybe a bit less time consuming. Otherwise it's kind of if that's considered a normal part of the program, because even doing 5 or 6 courses when I was in undergrad, there just wasn't enough time to even finish stuff. Anki stuff I need to remember. That's it. Yeah, I find when you have that many things going on, it's hard to keep track of assignments and deadlines. There's knowing what to work on next starts to become really difficult. You know, Anki. I'm not familiar with that word. ANKI. You heard of spaced repetition? Yeah, I've heard of that before. It's I think it may benefit anyone doing knowledge work. Oh, so Anki, ANKI. That's some kind of a learning method based on spaced repetition. That's interesting. I guess I'll come back to that. You got some weird stuff going on with the help menu. N-key is a program to automate doing space repetition using flashcards. Very helpful piece of software. Oh, okay. I was studying for an exam, and I actually just wrote. I was studying for some biology exam, and I just wrote something like that. That's weird and interesting. Why'd you have to study biology for software engineering? We had a certain number of electives and certain categories we had to do. Sorry, I came into the stream late. I had to eat. No worries, I forgive you. Now, I need to figure out what I'm doing with respect to these difference updates. I'm going to keep this code as simple as possible. What do you plan to do with the game today? Today I'm refactoring how some of the screen updates are applied. So I want to simplify it. It's kind of a, before it's been kind of a crazy haphazard way of doing it with the help menu, and it causes a lot of extra screen updates, and the menu flashes on for some reason sometimes. So I'm going to just turn it into a simple loop of layers. So iterate over the layers, merge them down one at a time. And I think I'll probably probably get rid of this. I have a message that calls this function. those are both in the help menu. Do you hate when they do the weekly tests on the EIS? Weekly tests. Is that emergency alert system? Do they do weekly tests? I'm not sure what you're talking about around here. I'm in the kitchen area. We don't have. We have. Actually, the last a couple of years ago, they had like. We had two of them at like 4:30 in the morning. We had one at 4:30 in the morning, and then the next day we had one. And it was just kind of a random thing. And it was for some like super wide area. And then I remember the next day everyone was that was almost amusing. They sent an emergency alert out, woke me up at like 4:30 in the morning, and then like because everything's bilingual, like 15 minutes later when we get back to sleep, they sent another one out, and it was in French, as if like we could, and then I think we got another one like an hour later that's like, oh, don't worry about it, we found the people we were looking for. So I'm like, and there were tons of people arguing about it online. Any plans on visiting Japan? It's like I have like a pipe dream interest. It's like I mean, there's so many things about Japan that seem very interesting. It would be a nice place to visit, but then again, I don't know, it's far away. It'd be expensive to go there. I'd also probably necessarily need some reason to go there. It's probably not in the cards for the short term anyway. Do you think that following your passion is good advice? I think it's generally speaking, it's not good advice because it's not it's kind of lazy and it's not complete enough. Like choosing a career based on a thing you enjoy. Honestly, I think people throw around that kind of advice as if it's like, it's like what kind of candy bar should I buy at the candy store? And then if you buy the wrong candy bar, you waste a couple of dollars and kind of disappointed. But then if you waste your entire life doing something that puts you in a really bad position, that's kind of I feel like these questions deserve a bit more weight. I think if you were actually going to evaluate it, you'd maybe have a couple other variables. So I think in terms of whatever you spend your time on doing, you want to think about like think about it from the per capita demand and the per capita supply of things. So if you're truly passionate about something, and I think the word passion comes from like some Greek word about like suffering or something. So if you're willing to endure suffering, if you like love programming so much, you're willing to suffer for it. Like I am very interested in programming. Here I am. I'm writing programs on a Friday night, and I'm not getting rich from doing this, but I'm doing it as part of a larger arc of work. that I'm working toward in my life. So I claim that if you compare me against like 100 or even maybe 1,000 other people, I'm probably way more motivated than those people to work on this particular thing. So I think in that respect, you could say that I'm passionate. But there's also like there's a lot of other things. Like for example, a really common thing people pursue these days is being like a video game streamer, a content creator type of thing. And they could say, oh, I'm passionate about video games, or I'm passionate about like some hobby. But the thing is, everyone is passionate about that stuff. And you can say, well, there's huge demand for, video game streaming, or like people making content about like Pokemon cards or something like that. And they say, oh, I'm passionate about it, but there's lots of people who are very passionate, possibly more passionate than you. There's also, even though there is also lots of demand. So you have to figure out how does that balance? And I think there's a lot of things, like for example, if you think about career paths people don't think about it at all, like fixing septic tanks, or like building the foundations of buildings. If you ask yourself, like, how much money do you spend a year on like sewage systems? Everyone spends money, directly or indirectly, or through rent or through mortgage costs or something on sewage systems. So someone must build sewage systems. And if you say, yeah, I don't want to do that, someone else is going to do it, then that someone else will ask like a crazy amount of money. And I think to some extent, when I started teaching at the college, one of the things that occurred to me is that the degree to which you are passionate about something can also be dependent on how much the other person needs and benefits from what you're doing. So if you're doing, if you're standing by the edge of the desert, handing out free bottles of water to people who are like dying of thirst, I think that's something. It would be easy to become passionate about that because people actually appreciate it, and there's like some real value exchange, and that's I think one aspect of the whole like passion thing people don't talk a lot about. And the other issue is everyone lives a homogenous life now that is exactly the same. Everyone grows up in the same kind of housing. Nobody has like people go to the same terrible schools. Everyone is like a carbon copy of each other. So it's difficult for people to have like any kind of unique experiences in that way. So that makes it difficult to figure out what you might actually be passionate about. I choose Western over Waterloo. Wish I went to Waterloo. Hindsight 2020. Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Western, but from what I understand, it's a bit more like athletic and sportsy or something. Going to get coffee. Get my day started. Have a good day, everybody. Get your day started. It's late. All right, this might simplify and remove some bugs from the whole like help menu deactivate activate thing. Speaking of coffee, it's a bit late here for coffee. I'm just resorting to tea tonight. Oh, we got a super chat. Thank you very much to Game Dev Chad for the $10. Well, it looks like it's lagging. Oh, there it is. $13.69. Thank you very much. You've been very, very generous. not a statement. Oh. And see, that would have been a statement, unfortunately. Yeah, and then it would have been even harder to figure out. Unreported exception. Hopefully it's not totally, completely broken. It's a little bit broken. I think a full day of eating, if it would be cool. Just a day of me eating. And then I'll end up like that guy. What's his name? Nico Avocado. Or like a programming mukbang. I don't know. It sounds too niche. So I think I can fix that with, if I just set all the layers that have to be merged to just like signal a change in them so that they all get refreshed and merged, and then I think I think that also should still print the minimum amount of things. Yep, this is what you're doing, planning how to become a 37-year-old wealthy mukbang programmer. See, the problem with doing ridiculous content is like sometimes you can just go for broke and risk it all and do something edgy, and then you get a whole bunch of money, and the money's worth it. Money's worth the embarrassment. But then other times you do crazy stuff, and then it's just like you make $5. Now you've gone down the rabbit hole of slop content. Do you ever forget to put on your iron ring, or do you keep it on at a habit? It's on all the time. I don't even think about it anymore. All right. Oh, yes. Oh, that's bad. Oh, and it's non-deterministic. That's even worse. That's crazy. Why is it doing that? Welcome. There's something wrong. I see. It is very wrong. Yep. But I'm making progress in refactoring. One benefit of this is it's going to dramatically simplify how the screen update code works. Oh yeah, that's supposed to not be there. Well, that's messed up. It's pretty neat. I'll maybe live with that for now. Coding errors relatable. Indeed. Sorry I'm late. Was recording mathematics in the works in my city. Mathematics in the works in my city. Is that a TV show or something? Or on Netflix, as they say these days. That's interesting. I don't know what you mean by that statement. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on how these differences get propagated through, but I'll probably be finicky to figure out exactly the right if conditions, but eventually, at least it'll be easier to debug. I don't know what you're talking about. Autistic stoner. If you're talking about like actual substance use, I don't really. I've warned people to not talk about that in my chat. Otherwise, I'll have to. People like odd preferences to it. It's not a big deal, but or I don't know if you're talking about that game. There's a game called Schedule 1 everyone's playing. But I don't know. I've seen 3 people hitting the glass. You're probably joking. Yeah, that's what I assume. But the thing is, like, we're on the internet, and there's also lots of people who aren't joking. Police did nothing. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm not interested. Now, let's figure out how to merge the layers. I think I need to, I think I can fix that by, let's see, so if the top layer has I guess what I need is I need 2 different merge functions basically. I need like a merge to merge all the layers, even if they don't have a change. And then the last one has to merge only with the change flag. Recorded it in the wild. Well, there's a lot of that in the wild these days. I did a record drilling into the earth. Did y'all think I partaken that? Well, I mean, given your username, you're giving people some hints. People also use that word for. I know what you mean, but people can also use that word for other things as well. So what's the update on this dude? Become a YT millionaire yet? Are you talking about me or that other person who they were talking about in the chat? I don't know who that is. I'm not a millionaire yet, but I'm working on it. You should organize a cash grab on GoFundMe or rug pull's audience. Yeah, rug pulls aren't popular these days. I'll get around to one of them eventually. Or maybe I'll crowdfund the money to fund a rug pull, and then I'll not do the rug pull. I don't refer to cannabis as Schedule 1 since it's medical. It's confusing talking about Schedule 1 because that's the name of that popular game. Schedule 1 is the name of it, if I remember correctly. Chronic back pain. Yeah, generally, I've warned other people about, what do you call it? Protracted discussions about weed or any other kind of stuff. Mainly, I don't want random people will stop in, and I don't want them to be like, oh, it's one of these types of streams. I'm not into that stuff at all. Apologize for a misunderstanding. We don't have that much of a misunderstanding. It's just it's difficult to figure out. There's many levels of. One, it's difficult to communicate through chat, and then the other thing is, if you don't know someone, it's difficult to tell if they're joking or not. And then sometimes people ask things, and I don't know if they're talking about, if they're asking me or if they're asking someone else to chat. And honestly, it is mentally taxing to talk to chat. Says here, Henma says, hey, what are you making? I'm working on a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. And right now I'm working on improving the user interface and making it more efficient to write to the screen. What's the plan? I'm 23 and feeling anxious about my creeping failure. Need to make money somehow, like 400K. New Brunswick is my favorite Canadian accent. That's a good question. The world is kind of collapsing at the moment. I don't have any really great answers about how to make a bunch of money. I mean, if you believe the media is like all over the place. Like when before, everyone's like, the media would just say, "Oh, get a tech job, you'll make so much money." People at Google are making so much, and then as soon as they started laying people off, they're like, "Oh, tech people are all getting trades jobs and stuff." And so now a bunch of kids are probably gonna quit software engineering and go into the trades, and then we'll have a surplus of trades in a couple of years, and then the media will be like, "Oh, these idiots all went into the trades, and they thought they'd get rich. What naive, dumb young people. Now we're on to the next thing." And then we'll just keep doing that every 6 months. I've been subbed before you hit 1K, by the way. Oh wow. That's quite a while ago. Maybe you came in the I think probably the Raspberry Pi camera video. That was my first kind of my first mini hit. I thought about doing a rug pull. It's legal but immoral in the States. I mean, I even question how much you could make. Like if you're a nobody, like if you have no brand recognition, how are you going to do the rug pull? But then if you do have a brand, if you have a reputation, if you have the brand recognition to pull off a rug pull, why not just like play the longer game? Like sell some overpriced thing. Like you could sell, I don't know, you could just make anything and just sell it for like 4 times what it's actually cost to produce, and then just say it's like, this is amazing. Like this, I don't know, people sell like branded snacks or something like that, and they're just like mediocre. They're like white labeled things, and they make massive margins on them. I'm going to feel like you could pretend to be Jason Stratham and create Stratham coin. Oh yeah, I think I don't know. I don't remember who that is. I think someone linked that in the Discord or something. I don't think it's immoral. I think for some of the rug pulls, it's like people. I think people are so desperate to like the world is so crappy these days. Like there's so many scams and everything's so inauthentic that I think people are almost willing to just like bet money on like the idea of a coin. It's almost like a like if you just ask people to give you money, like if you sell your autograph or something, like people know they're getting scammed, and they're just like, you know what, I kind of like whoever this is, so I'll just allow them to scam me and buy their coin, and maybe they'll make a little bit, and maybe some of them do, but most of them lose it. I'll be back when I have the funds. Excellent. For 5 years now, I've been dreaming of making a crypto hype coin. Bull. Too lazy. I mean, the other thing is like, what if it actually did work? What if you made like a decent amount of money, and then, like, I think it is illegal. I know there were some weird rulings that came out from the SEC that it's not. There's some weird corner cases where it's kind of like not prosecuted in practice and stuff, but I don't know. I just want to focus on doing economically productive things. Or we could star in an action flick, just like Stratham. I can always do that if things don't work out. It's legal as long as you don't snitch on yourself. Have a good alibi. That's the thing. If you're only making like enough to live for a couple of years, then why bother? Economically productive, like not getting a job. I have a job. There's hard route pulling, and then when a developer hits back door and cash out at the right time. Funny how you need to be a millionaire now to live a middle-class life. Yeah, it does kind of suck how that minor detail is true now. I'm currently on Linux Multimedia Studio. Interesting. Rug pulls, not something that interests me. What's happening here? I am doing some development on my terminal-based video game, and I'm currently doing some updates to improve the process of printing to the screen, trying to optimize it to make it a bit more efficient and less buggy. Heading out. Thanks for the chats. Talk to you later. Thanks for the super chat. What was the update on your housing situation? I didn't follow up on the channel for months. So the conclusion is there are a total of 4 hearings. So there was one originally scheduled on February 19th, specifically for my L2 merits hearing. That was canceled. I was pulled into, on January 27th, I was pulled into a adjudicative case conference with me and the rest of the building. There's like 61 people in total that were in that case. About half of them have dropped off and left. It's like half of them still there, so we were at the hearing. At that hearing on January 27th, we had discussed whether we should combine the cases or not, and the conclusion was yes, because they have facts in common. Then we had the first L2 merits hearing On May 26th, witnesses testified. We discussed the merits of whether it's necessary to evict all the tenants to obtain vacant possession. And we were about to call another witness, and we ran out of time. So there is at least one other hearing where we're going to complete. And some tenants got their eviction process dismissed on the basis of being improperly served compensation checks. They were not served in time. And the next hearing, so this will be the fourth hearing date that's scheduled, including the one that was canceled. So it'll be the third one that I've had to attend. That will be at some point in the future. And so the last hearing was the 26th. Right now, I still don't have a hearing date, and I have to just wait around. And he suggested it won't be in June. It'll be after that sometime. Can someone tell what exactly is happening here? Right now, I'm just distracted talking to chat, but otherwise, I'm working on the terminal game. Would it interest you if it were a physical rug pulled from underneath someone? Is that why it's called rug pull? I assume that's why it's called rug pull. Canadian legal system is bloat. Yep. Yeah, so technically I didn't have to go to the first one, but in terms of like dates, when I've been like, oh man, I have to prepare for this. This will be the fourth one. And also, I've been getting very familiar with the Residential Tenancies Act, where I think we're going to focus on arguing Section 73 of the Tenancies Act, and we're already talking about this will be the fifth hearing at some point after. So if the cases are not dismissed at the next hearing, the fourth hearing, there will be a fifth hearing date. And then we'll argue Section 83 of the Tenancies Act. What keyboard do you use, by the way? I just use right now I'm just using the laptop keyboard, but usually I just use a garbage old, I think it's an old one that came with some enterprise server that I bought. Enterprise desktop server. You plan on staying in Canada long term? I heard rent is super cheap in Wellington, New Zealand. I'm going to stay here I'm going to stay in Canada, I think, probably for the foreseeable future. Even though as bad as things are here, the real question is like, if I left here, where would I go? There's also like family considerations and stuff like that. And like trying, at my age, moving to a random place and starting over, it's just like, what if I get stuck in another housing crisis? I'll be like 60 years old and like still constantly, going from rent eviction to rent eviction and getting ripped off on contracts, and I gotta settle down and get some stability somewhere. How many hours per day would you say you actually are productive? For me, it's roughly 4. That's a good question. It depends on the day. Probably it also depends on what you mean by productive. Because especially for doing my business stuff, there's a lot of time when at the time I'm doing something, is not necessarily like a binary, like, yes, this is productive. Like there's lots of stuff I've done that is like technically it's a waste of time and it's a distraction. Like I'm just, screwing around. But then years later, that thing becomes the thing that actually makes money. Like, for example, YouTube entirely. You could say that like YouTube is a distraction. It's like a waste of time because I put all this money and time into making videos. And then for years, that didn't really bring in much of anything. But now YouTube is the most significant revenue generator for me. So it's it's a bit difficult to answer that. But I'd say probably, I don't know, at least like 6 to 8 hours of decently productiveness. Got a server rack. I have like a desktop server. Just start walking, never look back. I could, but then I need food. Coming to Reno, Nevada. Housing here is pretty good. I'll just keep kicking on with the World Domination Fund, and then I'll be able to live wherever I want. Can you say hi to my little brother and Vish? Hello, hi, and Vish. I was gonna ask you to flash your rack. Nope. Not on stream. There are many empty houses in Japan and legacy software. Yeah, I've heard that of course this, YouTube being YouTube, there's all kinds of stuff about Japan that pops up. And I've heard that apparently it's a very common after someone there's a lot the state that people leave a lot of houses in is pretty bad. So a lot of them just get torn down. Let's see, let's try to write some code. All right. Okay, that might do what I want. You guys still have financial anxiety? Or are you good now? So I'm completely out of debt. Now, the revenue, YouTube revenue has gone down substantially because I have not put out as many long form videos. Live streaming has been a recent experiment to see if how much revenue can that bring in, and to just gather some data. And also I can do do a bit of meaningful work if I just with a few hours of streaming per day. So far it hasn't been, I don't know, there's been a few days when the concurrent viewers is spiked up a little bit, but I guess, I don't know, I think it does make sense to continue it for daily for a while. At the moment, I'm basically around break even. So the max revenue was around 7,000 during the peak around Christmas, and now I'm basically like around break even. I think last month it was like $1,700. So I'm getting ahead like $100, and then I also had to pay for like my apartment insurance or something. So not particularly great. I had a bit of a gamble. I spent the how to become a 37-year-old broke loser video. That video that brought in about $10,000 in total, and so I thought, and there was actually another guy who commented and said he does like all these long form like podcast type videos, and he said that this is the winning strategy. So I thought, okay, I'll do another one of those. So I spent quite a bit of time and researching and editing a video on immigration, which I thought was a pretty important topic that I have a lot of opinions on, because I've spent a lot of time working with immigrants who are coming into the country through the college program, which is, it's been lots of discussion on that. So I spent a couple of months on that. I got sick halfway through it. Anyway, that video has not performed particularly well. So it got around 50,000 views, and then it kind of just completely shut off. So that was a bit of a gamble. It didn't quite work out. But overall, I don't know. There's still like a decent baseline revenue coming in. I just need another couple hit videos. A great way to know me is my YouTube channel. I'm pretty straightforward. Keep it real, like a video diary. Gosh, I hate word diary. Too close to diarrhea. Interesting. I never thought about the association. Okay, this might do what I want. Let's try this. What's your goal plan? Mine, for example, is make over 200K and build a nice homestead near where I live. My goal is to continue pursuing an independent business. I've been at this over 10 years, and the issue is like, my hypothesis has been, if you have an independent business, you should be able to work more or do, make better decisions to achieve some sort of exponential growth. And I've been at this for 10 years, and it almost seems like my income is basically pegged to be exactly enough to pay my rent and never more than that, which sounds absurd, because I've obtained income from many different sources over the last 10 years from different clients and stuff like that. So eventually there has to be something that I will hit on that actually can make decent amounts of money. And then once I have that a growing source of income, then there are new options available to me. like for example, buy a homestead and do the standard life things. But so far that has not worked out. I think links will probably get filtered in the chat. You can probably just search it. You can probably just search it in the go to the youtube.com chat or something. Or what did I say? YouTube.com search. Why does it complain about flags? Cannot find symbol. Oh boy, that looks really great. There are no weird artifacts. Nice. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. That's not right, but I could probably fix that. I hope I don't turn 40. Still trying to make 200K. 200K in a year or 200K total? If all the ingredients just need to grind. Well, if you can see it in front of you, then you just gotta reach for that money and get it, put it in your pocket, then buy that homestead. What's more important for you, knowledge or money? It's kind of a good question, I guess. I mean, they're both important. You can use either of those things to produce more of the other. Did I tell you about my 2 internet connections? Yes. People with 2-digit IQs make bank. I need to channel my inner scumbag. But you can also be nice and make money. Well, I'll probably leave it there for tonight. That was another decent bit of progress. It shouldn't be too hard to fix up that other weird glitch with the menu not updating, but I'm a little bit closer to having the UI refactoring done. All right, have a good night, guys. See you tomorrow.